Hello everyone and greetings from Australia. My name is Ruth and I am a solicitor or a lawyer of the Supreme and High Court of Australia. I'm also an Australian-based registered migration agent. Well, today I would like to share with you information regarding resident return visa. I note that the information in this video is not to be treated as legal advice. However, it will provide you with vital information about resident return visa. Now, did you know that when you are a permanent resident visa holder, technically you're allowed to remain in Australia indefinitely or forever? But you usually get a 5-year travel right, which means you can come in and out of Australia for the 5 years. However, if your visa says that you have a 5-year travel right, that means after the first 5 years, and if you wish to travel outside of Australia, then you must renew your permanent visa, and that is called a resident return visa. So in terms of the eligibility, first of all, you have to be an Australian permanent resident or a former Australian permanent resident whose last permanent visa was not cancelled, or a former Australian citizen who has lost or renounced their citizenship. You must also meet the residence or substantial ties requirement. For example, you must show that you have lived in Australia for 2 years, and that's 730 days, in the last 5 years as the holder of a permanent visa or entry permit, or as an Australian citizen. Or you must be able to demonstrate substantial ties to Australia that are of benefit to Australia. So this means if, in terms of the residency requirement, if you cannot show that you have lived in Australia for 2 years in the last 5 years, you may still be eligible to apply for a resident return visa to reinstate your permanent visa if and only if you can show that you have substantial ties to Australia. So what does substantial ties mean? So immigration says, well, this could be business ties, cultural ties, employment ties, or personal ties. However, they must be substantial and of benefit to Australia. In terms of business ties, for example, immigration will accept evidence such as company reports defining your role and authority, business transactions, partnership or joint venture agreements, contracts with your signature, or business or personal records. In terms of cultural ties, they will look into publications written by you, contracts, evidence of memberships of cultural associations, if there was any newspaper articles about you, programs listing your artistic or cultural performances. In regard to employment ties, employment contracts, recent official documents such as group certificates, employee identification or security pass. In regard to personal ties, well, substantial personal ties may be of the benefit to Australia if the applicant is or has been participating as a member of the Australian community or an economy, and their ties will enrich the lives of individual Australian residents and citizens. And the other acceptable evidence would be substantial personal ties, may be that you regard Australia as your home or have intention to reside in Australia. In regard to the resident return visa, you must not hold an authority to return or return endorsement. If you hold any of those, then you will not be eligible for this visa. You are not eligible for this visa if you hold either an authority to return issued between the 1st of March 1976 to 31st of August 1979, or a return endorsement issued between the 1st of September 1979 to 31st December 1986. You must also meet the requirement to be eligible for resident return visa. You must not have any cancellation action against your business skills visa or other visas. If you're successful, then how long will the visa last? Well, it depends. It will depend on your particular situation. The first scenario would be this. If you have lived in Australia for 2 years in the last 5 years, so in total 730 days, as a permanent resident, former citizen, or a former permanent resident, then you meet what is known as the residence requirement, and that might be a 5-year travel validity. You may be given a 5-year travel validity on your visa. However, if you have not lived in Australia for 2 years in the last 5 years, then you may only be given a maximum of 12 months travel validity on your visa if you can demonstrate substantial ties that will benefit Australia. If you meet the requirements only because you are a family member of a family unit of a person who holds this visa, then you can be given up to a 12 months travel validity on your visa. If you do not meet the requirement but you have compelling and compassionate reasons to depart, then you might be given up to a 3 months travel validity on your visa. So it's interesting because the resident return visa may seem fairly straightforward, but we are living in a different world now where people travel everywhere for jobs, or for business, or they want to live in another country. So if you know someone, or if you're in that position whereby you were a permanent resident and not too sure about how to go about regaining your residency, then please do not hesitate to contact us. Now, I note that the information in this video is general information only. Please do not treat it as legal advice. We assess each case on a case-by-case basis. And if you need help, please don't hesitate to contact us on the email address below. I trust the information has been helpful, and all the best. Thank you.